Hello everyone, today we are going to start a new case study, the Equifax data breach in 2017. So here are just some standard disclaimers. I'm not going to read it here. So this case study was adapted from the Equifax data breach, and the information was taken from public sources and modified for education purposes. I also list additional resources. You can take a look at the end of these slides. So just some very brief introduction about the Equifax security breach. It happens in September 7th, 2017, and the data breach may impact as many as 143 million US customers. Okay, if you count only the adult people who has a credit history, that's probably about 50 to 70% of people. Okay, which is a huge number. So the leaked information include the social security number, name, date of birth, address, basically another way to do the identity theft. So the news source you can get from here. I'm not going to play this YouTube video, so when you get time, you can just take a look at this YouTube video here. So a little bit background information about this Equifax. So Equifax is one of the 3 largest consumer credit reporting agency, and the breach was originally discovered on July 29, 2017, but it was not made publicly until September the 7th, 2017. Okay, now if you compare this timeline with Target, with Anthem, there is a significant delay. So Equifax did not explain its delay in reporting this breach to the public. And it was further noticed that the 3 Equifax executives sold 1.8 million of their personal holdings of the company share after Equifax discovered the data breach. Okay, which is a very disturbing fact. So the incident response is a disaster, and Equifax set up a website to let people discover whether they are victim of the breach. However, this website returned random result instead of accurate information. So for me, like I test this website with my family members' information, the result is totally it's just random result. Anyway, additionally, the website has numerous security flaws of its own, so it was not registered to Equifax, has some problem with TLS implementation, and running on some kind of blogging software, which is notorious for security vulnerabilities. So customer wanting to use the Equifax website has to agree to waive their right to sue the company. Now, of course, Equifax changed that policy later. So with such a large-scale hack, you may think this Equifax attack is a sophisticated one, but unfortunately, this turned out to be a relatively easy hack. You would be surprised after Target, after Anthem, after all these data breaches. We should be smarter, but the result is some kind of disappointment. So this is really based on a major vulnerability, which is the Apache Stealth vulnerability, which they have the number CVE here. So I'm not going to, this is the URL. I'm not going to show you here. So if you get a chance, you can take a look. This was a very critical security vulnerability. So rate it as 10 out of 10. Okay. Disturbing fact is this vulnerability was made public on May 6, 2017. And it's actually 2 months before Equifax was hacked. Okay? Basically what this means is everybody know there's a very serious security vulnerability. And Apache released the patches. For whatever reason, the Equifax IT team, they probably know about this vulnerability. I don't know, have further information whether they know or they didn't know about this security vulnerability. They basically left their production server unpatched for 2 months. This is basically just like you open up, there's a big hole in your front door and you just leave it open for 2 months. Now, of course, hackers will sneak in. So hackers invade Equifax system between mid-May and late July until they were discovered at the end of July. So let me just talk a little bit about the CVE. It stands for Common Vulnerability and Exposure. Okay, if you visit this website, it has all sorts of CVE information. Another website is exploit.db, and they also have similar information and a lot of entries. They actually have attacking code associated with it. So if this is actually public information and was supposed to be used for good purpose, for security purpose. However, that also means the hackers can find these vulnerabilities. So that means if you don't patch your system in a timely manner, you cannot just like open your front door and invite hacker. Another very useful website is called Shodan.io, which is alternative search engine. It's similar to Google, but it's instead of search web page, it's search for IoT devices, power plants, web cameras. So again, I'm not going to show it here. For those of you who are interested, you can just open those websites. So let me just explain a little bit about the zero-day attack. Okay. So basically, this starting from here is the date where vulnerability is discovered by someone. That can be hacker, can be security researcher, or can be anyone. Okay, so they find out the vulnerability, and usually they either notify the vendor, or they just use it quietly, or they just sell it on the black market. Anything could happen. So assuming they notify the vendor, okay, so the vendor is notified, the vendor publicly release some patches to fix the problem. Okay, so this is the date where the vulnerability is publicly released, and software patches are actually publicly released also. So from this period where people start finding about vulnerability to the date where fixed software patch was released, this is called a 0 day. Okay, and all the systems are very vulnerable, and the information is not publicly released, so it's why it's called a 0 day. Now, starting with the date where they release all those information, it can be day 1, day 2, day 3, and typically for some critical updates, you only have like 24 hours or 48 hours to fix your system. Okay, and that can be called day 1 or day 2. Okay, now, however, this period, okay, can be even more dangerous. Okay, because all those information was known to the public, yet not everyone patched their system. So the world is extremely vulnerable since hackers know about the vulnerabilities, and not everyone actually fix or implement the patches. Okay, and this period of window, okay, it's very, very vulnerable. Now, in the Equifax data breach, the attack actually happened during this window. Okay, so once everyone patch it, it will be safe. A little bit information about Apache, which is a very commonly used web server. Apache Style 2 is an open source web application server based on Java. Okay, and It's supposed to make Java web application easier. However, this is another kind of like there's a lot of bugs or vulnerabilities, a number of vulnerabilities. Okay, so Stroud, it's kind of, in my personal opinion, it's kind of a little bit notorious. Okay, so based on the information we collected from many different sources, the hacker actually got into the management panel in the Equifax system. Okay, and Equifax use a lot of management panel in their system. These panels will common reference to some subdomain in the Equifax, which they call the Bumblebee. Okay, now the thing is, all of them are vulnerable to the same exploit, which is the one we just mentioned. So you put all your eggs in one basket. There's a central management server that could be good, could be bad, but unfortunately, one vulnerability crashed the entire system, the central server. So a little bit more information, findings from Kerbals. So in the article written by Brian Krebs, and he detailed how one of this management control panel use a username and a password like admin. This is unbelievable. Okay. And additional vulnerabilities like some private keys are stored in the control panels. Okay, so if the panel is hacked, all the encrypted data is not safe. Okay, this is supposed to be put offline. Okay, and a huge internal management problem which we already mentioned. Okay, so there are mounting concerns after the data breach. So you can read the news source from here. So the CSO and the CIO resign. There's a lot of class action lawsuit against the Equifax. So basically they do very, very bad job starting from the beginning, how they manage their servers, how they patch their servers, to how they do the incident response, how they release information to the public, how they do internal management. Okay, so there's huge concerns. And additional information was released. Basically, like Equifax suffered another hack almost 5 months earlier than the one we just talked about. Okay, that was reported later, and it's actually a different hack, which means in March there is another hack. But anyway, it's just mounting concerns. So here are some additional resources, like this one tells you the Equifax data breach. This is the Krebs wiki page, additional information. Okay, that's the end of this case study. Thanks, bye.